Hey there! So, in this video, we'll be talking about two variable data sets, or just data sets in general, identifying whether it's two variable or one variable. But this all falls in the realm of statistics in terms of percentages and useful information. So this can be useful in everyday life, depending on how you do it. Okay, let's go. This is going to be a short video, mostly on definitions, but let's talk about some of these definitions first, and then we can get into the specifics. Okay, so statistics. What is statistics? Well, it's the study of manipulating data, including ways to gather, review, analyze, and draw conclusions. So right now we have the data collected already, and we're just identifying the variables and the significance of those variables. Okay, so what is a variable? A variable is an attribute that can be measured, such as height or the number of televisions per home. So essentially, something that is measured, not something that's constant. So, what is a one variable data? Well, it only has one attribute, and you often see those in tally charts, frequency tables. Those two, you may not see too many examples. Well, frequency tables you probably see quite a bit. Bar graphs, histograms and bar graphs are very similar. Pictograms, are circle graphs. Pictograms look something that's in a picture, doesn't have that many numbers, maybe has only one number, and same thing with circle graphs. So one variable data can be analyzed using mean, which is the average. In short, it's just the average number. The medium, which is just the middle number of the data set, and mode, which is the most common number that shows up in the data set. So that's how you can identify one variable data by well, by either one of these charts, or you know that it can be analyzed using one of these three methods. So let's talk about two variable data. Well, two variable data sounds just like it sounds. It has two attributes per each item, such as ordered pairs, like two numbers like 2 and 4, ordered pairs, scatter plots. Scatter plots often do points, y and x, or that could be anything. Y could be um, the number of people, and then x could be, or no, y could be the height, and x could be the ages. Or you can have two column tables. So it just looks like a bar graph, except there's just two columns opposed to one column. So this is just a one column table, but it could have two columns. So here's an example of some data sets here. And this one here is a one variable data set. And I can tell right away is because the only number I see is in the y-axis. Everything here is just like it's not measured. There's no numbers associated. It's basically a category. So I can tell right away this is just a one variable data set because I only see something that's measured on the y-axis, but nothing is measured on the x-axis. This is also a one variable data set in a sense that these here are, in a sense, categories. So the number of television, the category 0, 1, 2, 3, they're sort of a categories, and it shows the frequency of those categories. This is not very obvious because it looks like it's two data sets, but really it's just one data set, and these are just categories here. So number of televisions, so this category of number one television. So this is two data sets, and you can tell by the number of televisions. So this is measuring the number of televisions opposed to the number of telephones. So you have two variables, number of televisions and number of so it's measuring actually two different things. Here is actually one thing. It's just number of televisions. That's it. Number of televisions, and frequency is a property of that number of televisions. So there's only one variable here. Again, this one here, it's the number of televisions, but you only talk about televisions. Household is not really a category, so there's only one variable here as well. Okay, let's look at example. Well, this one was an example, a brief example, but let's look at some other examples. State whether each situation involves one variable or two variables. And a lot of your homework questions going to be like that. It's going to ask you, is it one variable, two variables, and you should justify your answer as best you can. But I really care about whether or not you can identify whether or not it's one variable, two variables. So it says here, NOAA researches the annual hours of sunshine in Canadian cities. So look, to me, it looks like it's only one variable because you're just measuring the annual hours, and that's about it. Canadian cities are categories. So one variable, and no research could be analyzed using mean, medium, and mode. That's true because there's only one category, there's only one data set, hours, and you can use just that one. You can figure out the mean, medium, and mode based on just the annual hours. Okay, let's look at the other one. A study compares the length of time. So this is the length of time the children spend playing video games and the time they spend reading. So it's two things that they're measuring. Uh, time spent video games and the time spent for playing reading. So there's two variables here. There's one variable and there's the other variable. And so there's two variable sets. The study involves two pieces of information that this data could be represented in a scatter plot. That's true. But more than that, you can tell it's two pieces of information, time for video games and time for reading. Okay, example two. A survey of grade 12 students include a home form tally a question asking whether they had part-time jobs. I think there's supposed to be space here. I think the A is supposed to be right there. Identify. So this is the graph for this. It's identifying the variables. As far as I can tell, they're only talking about part-time jobs, whether or not they have part-time jobs. That's the only thing they're asking. So it looks like it's just one variable, and this other part, the home form, is just a category, another category, and this is the different classrooms that they're asking. But what they're measuring, the only thing that they're measuring is part-time jobs. So therefore, it's only one variable. This is the only one thing that's been measured. Okay, so to have two descriptions about this data set, well, if you look at the data, you can tell over here that room 12D has the most. Uh, well, and then what's here? There are more students with part-time jobs in room B and A, B, oh, B, 12B and 12A. Oh, I do not know if I agree with that. I'm gonna double check that. I don't think that's a good, I don't think that's a good comparison. The home with the greatest frequency of part-time workers is 12D, and that is true. It has the highest frequency, as you can see. In terms of part-time jobs, I think I'm gonna scratch that out because I just took the graph. I didn't look at the table, so maybe that's the reason why. So yeah, this one is you don't have enough information to make the statements. So I'm gonna remove that in the notes. Okay, finally, last one. Example 3, physical activity. The scatter plot shows the results of a survey of 15 teenagers in which the participants indicate their age and the number of hours of physical activity. So you're actually measuring there's two things you're measuring. You're measuring their age and the hours of activity. So there's two numbers that are changing, and so you can tell right away that this is two variables, and the variables are age and number of hours of physical activity. Give a descriptive statement about this data set. There's a relationship between age and the number of hours of physical activity. And if you look here at this here, at the between the ages of 10 and 20, the activity is quite high, actually. It's a number of hours. I assume when you're in high school or when you're in elementary, or most like in high school, you're more active, especially in elementary. So, and then after the age of 20, that's when you get old and you don't really want to do physical activity anymore. I guess you're in college or you're just trying to survive a job. But you notice that here, before the age of 10, there isn't much physical activity. I think that's off. I think there is some sort of activity there. But I would agree that between the age of 10 and 20, most kids are really, really active, or teenagers are really active. Um, in their daily activities. Okay, so that's about it. Um, and the homework questions are just asking you for if it's one variable or two variables, and what are those variables. And that's a very simple lesson, and that's about it. Okay, there we go.